What's up guys? So today we'll be looking at the original version Katoki, the Gundam version Ka. Today I'm drinking the Intelligentsia frequency blend. Welcome to Toys and Coffee. So today we'll be looking at the MG Master Grade Gundam version Ka, the first ever version Katoki. So it was released 18 years ago in 2002. Would you buy an 18-year-old model kit? It's old enough to vote. Or go to certain websites, you know what I mean. With the recent release of the Wing Zero version Katoki, I think it would be fun for everybody to see something from a long time ago. To see the very first version Katoki and see how far Bandai has improved in the past 18 years. So before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe and feel free to comment. Alright, so back to the model. So this is the third iteration of Master Grade RX-78 after the Master Grade Gundam 1.5, and it came out right before Master Grade started to get good. I would actually argue that before the first Master Grade Strike Gundam, which came out in 2003, you can still find a lot of posing issue in Master Grades, which we can talk about later. At the first glance, the overall shape is very good in my opinion. Very sharp, not a lot of redundant panel lines. The proportions are good. The face is relatively handsome. All the colors are correct except for the bazooka, so you can choose not to paint it if you don't want to. There are these really nice pressure transfer decals and only 3 stickers, 2 for the sensor and 1 for the eyes. Not a huge fan of the screws, but it was all the rage at the time. There are 4 screws for tightening the joints at the knees. The colors of plastics are actually quite rare. The white is not exactly white, has very slight yellow tint to it. The blue has a slight hint of indigo, and the red is like a Marlboro red, like in the McLaren MP44, the sort of the neon Marlboro red. So I've never seen these colors before, even today, and I love it. I'm still deciding whether to paint this kit or not. That's why I haven't really applied the decals. I'm heavily considering just applying the decals and spray a flat coat over the whole thing. And there are these match pipe details at the back of the knees, which I always enjoy seeing. It's always nice to see a change in material in a model kit. So it's not just plastic. Maybe you have some metal pieces or in this case, the mesh detail, which is really nice. So the kit comes with a fully transformable core fighter and a dummy core, which allows you to choose whether you want to display the core fighter or keep it in body. So the dummy core has the seated 1/100 scale pilot, and unlike the Master Grade 2.0, the seat in the core fighter does not rotate, and the canopy of the core fighter cannot open. The cockpit of the body can open, the thrusters can move. Unfortunately, the beam saber holsters are not movable on the backpack, and there's a rear skirt mount for the bazooka. So the hands are typical old MG hands. And there are also rifle holding right hand. And a close fist left hand, which both look really nice. It's a huge upgrade from the old Master Grade hands from before. The beam rifles have a standard moving parts. The scope can move, the grip can move, and there's a tiny movable ring at the bottom of the grip, which is a nice, interesting detail. The bazooka is the only dated part of the weapon. It's a little too skinny for today's standards, and it's very hard to hold, and actually impossible to hold. There's just no way to hold it because there's not enough movement in the wrist. This is the best you can do with holding the bazooka, and you can barely hold on to the grip. And that's why all the later Gundam bazookas have a new joint at the grip, so it fits the hand. The shield has 2 beam saber holders on the inside, but no extra beam sabers. You have to choose either to have the beam sabers on the back or in the shield. Kinda weird. Like, why would you not have beam sabers on the back? Looks a little weird in my opinion. There are a lot of details on the inside of the shield, and even along the edge of the shield you can find these tiny details. It makes the shield looks a lot thicker. One small issue is that you cannot mount the shield on the back of Gundam, which they fixed in the later Master Grades. So just like most MGs in the era, the mechanical details are not present throughout the whole body. In this case, they are only in the legs and the backpack. But that's not really a major issue. The problems are actually in the overall posability of the kid. So being a virgin Katoki kid, it is able to do the famous Katoki pose, which is feet at shoulder length apart, with the head facing forward or facing the viewers. So it does an exceptionally good job at making that pose, the Katoki pose. But that's about it. This kid cannot compare to the level of posability to today's standards. So most of the inner frames of this kit is shared with the GM Type Cs. While the mechanical frame looks really good on the inside, they are not as flexible as they should. So the shoulder blade joint does not exist in MG yet. For a more natural shooting pose, so the shoulder blades cannot move forward and back. While there are really nice hydraulics at the knees, all the hydraulics at the heels are fake. So all these cylinders you see here, really detailed, they're all fakes. So it makes it quite difficult to plant the feet flat to the ground. And the polycap ball joints at the thighs are also just going to weaken over time. And that's why you don't really see ball joints at the thigh. Bandai has moved away from having all those ball joints and change it into a more complex joint. I mean, there's one good thing about sharing the frame part with the GM Type C, is that you get extra parts. You get these gray joint cover parts, which you can switch it out if you prefer to having the gray joint cover. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the purchase, mainly because I have such low expectations for this kit. And all the problems I mentioned before was only because Bandai's engineering was not as good back then. I guess 18 years ago, you still have to worry about getting a back gunpla. But today, there are virtually no back gunplas out there, in my opinion. But yeah, this is definitely not as good as the gunpla today, but I would actually recommend it if you treat it as a statue and not try to pose it. So that's it for Master Grade Gundam version Katoki. And same thing, comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. By the way, I got this from USA Gundam, not sponsored. I don't really use stickers, so if anyone wants this, leave a comment, I'll send it to you.